We're canceling your dad's day gift. You don't deserve it since you missed my son's recital, my sister texted. I've been in the ER with my daughter that day. Family priorities, Mom added. So I replied, understood. Then I logged into the shared streaming services, car insurance bundle, and phone plan I'd been managing, all in my name. When I removed everyone at 11:47 p.m., imagine sitting down for Sunday dinner, the comforting smell of lasagna filling the air, and then, without warning, your entire world shatters. My dad casually announced they were selling my childhood home, the house Grandpa left me, to fund my sister's IVF. But the real gut punch? My mom just laughed and said, "Oh, honey, we had that changed. You were too young to handle property anyway." My fork actually slipped from my hand. It was 6:43 p.m. I remember the exact time because I just checked a note from my editor about a cut I needed to fix. I'm a film editor, mostly indie stuff, commercials when rent gets loud. So my days are all about timelines and frames. That night, the only timeline I cared about was the one where my childhood home had apparently been listed without me. Across the table, my sister Sophia blinked hard behind her glasses. "Dad," she hissed under her breath. Not like that. But Mom kept eating like this was just a normal family conversation. She'd lit a candle for ambience, so the whole dining room smelled like fake vanilla, an actual disaster. My 6-year-old son, Mark, sat beside me in his Spider-Man sweatshirt, lining peas along the edge of his plate like tiny green soldiers. He was humming the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme, half watching us, half pretending not to. My mouth was bone dry. "What do you mean you're selling the house?" I asked. Dad sighed the way he always did when someone forced him to explain himself. "Exactly what I said, Zach. You've been here rent-free for 2 years. Your sister's clinic called Friday. They need the full amount up front for this next round. We have equity. It's simple math." He said rent-free like I'd been secretly draining their retirement for fun and not literally keeping up the mortgage and utilities while freelancing through a pandemic. Sophia stared at her plate. "We didn't want to spring it on you," she muttered. "You just did," I said. Mom put her fork down very gently. "Your sister's almost 38, she said, her voice like silk over steel. "IVF isn't cheap. Family helps family. Your grandfather would want his great-grandchild to exist more than he'd want you clinging to a building." My brain twitched at one word. His. His. I repeated. As in Grandpa. As in the man who left this house to me in his will. I looked at Dad. He wouldn't meet my eyes. "Right," I said, because that's what he told me. That's what he told all of us. "I get the house. Sophia gets the investment account." That was the deal. Mom actually laughed. Not a cute laugh. A short, sharp one, like I told a dumb joke. "Oh, honey," she said, "we had that changed. You were too young to handle property anyway." I felt my heart hit one solid beat in my chest. Then everything went weirdly quiet. Too young. I was 28 when Grandpa died. My hands went cold around my glass. Mark stopped humming. He looked up at me, then at my parents, then back at me, like my face was the weather report. "What do you mean changed?" I asked. Dad puffed air out through his nose. "You're overreacting. We talked to a lawyer. We updated things. The house is in our names now. We'll sell. Pay off what's left. Help your sister. And you'll land on your feet. You're talented. You'll find somewhere." And of course, Mom added, voice soft and poisonous, "You can stay here until closing. We're not monsters." Sophia whispered, "Dad, at least show him." "Later." Dad snapped. My brain did what it always does when footage glitches. It started counting. Plates, glasses, people. 1, 2, 3, 4. For people who knew something I didn't. I picked up my water, took a slow sip so my hands wouldn't shake. "Wow," I said quietly. Mark nudged my arm. "Dad," he whispered. I put my hand over his. "It's okay, buddy," I said, even though nothing felt okay. I didn't scream. I didn't flip the table. I nodded once calmly, stood up, walked into the hallway, and pulled out my phone. Then I called Grandpa's original lawyer. To understand why that call mattered, you have to know how my family works. I'm Zach, 33, film editor based in Chicago, which means my paychecks look like a heart monitor, spikes when a project lands, flat lines in between. After Mark's mom left when he was 3, the house I grew up in became my fallback plan. "Move back home," Mom said. "It's temporary. We'll help. You save. We're a team. Temporary turned into 2 years of me cutting trailers in the old guest room while my parents treated my presence like a favor they regretted. Grandpa's house, this house, was his pride. A little 2-story brick place in a quiet neighborhood. Avocado green bathroom. Creaky stairs that squeaked every time we sneaked in late. When Grandma died, he almost sold it. Too many ghosts, he'd say. Then he'd look at me and grumble. But at least you fixed my DVD player. I was the one who took him to his appointments. I was the one who sat with him through chemo, who learned how to make his scrambled eggs exactly wrong in the way he liked. Sophia lived across town then, busy being a corporate adult with health insurance and power blazers. One night, 3 months before he died, Grandpa handed me a worn blue folder. Read it, he said. Don't argue. Inside was his will. House to me, investment account, and life insurance to Sophia. Rest split down the middle. It's not about favorites, he said. You work with your hands and your brain. A house is security when the world is stupid. Your sister has a salary. She'll be fine. I told him it was too much. He called me an idiot and turned the TV back on. When he died, I was a mess. Funerals aren't good episodes for anyone. Dad told me, don't worry about paperwork. We have it under control. You just focus on your kid and your career. We'll take care of the estate. I let them. That was mistake number 1. Because in my family, we'll take care of it never means for your benefit. It means we'll rearrange reality and tell you it was always like that. This pattern didn't start with a house. When Sophia got married, Dad called me the night before the wedding. Zach, he said, we're just a little short on the final venue payment. $6,000. You know how these things add up. I had $8,000 in savings then. The first time my account looked like a number and not a punchline. I need that for a car, I said. Mine's died 3 times this month. Mom got on the phone immediately. Don't be selfish, she said. This is her big day. Family helps family. We'll pay you right back. They never did. 6 months later, Sophia's honeymoon pictures were still up on their fridge. My car still made a noise like a dying robot every time I started it. Then there was the investment opportunity. Your credit score is better, Dad said. We just need you to co-sign this little line of credit. It's for home improvements. You're living here too. It benefits everyone. The paperwork he shoved in front of me at the kitchen table was thick. I was exporting a cut on my laptop, half reading, half trusting. Later, I realized I'd basically handed them a blank check tied to my name. When they maxed it out on a bathroom remodel and some emergency repairs, the monthly statements came to me. Money stress, Mom said, patting my hand. Welcome to adulthood. But the worst moment before the house thing wasn't about me. It was about Mark. Last year, he came back from preschool with this crappy cardboard robot he'd made. Googly eyes, crooked smile glued on buttons. He loved that thing. Slept with it next to his pillow, brought it to breakfast, showed it to anyone who made eye contact for more than 4 seconds. One weekend, while I was on set on a rush job, Mom offered to watch him. Of course, she said. We're happy to help. When I got back Sunday night, the robot was gone. Hey, buddy, I asked, where's Robo? Mark shrugged, in that too quiet way kids have when they've already been told not to make a big deal. Grandma said it was trash, he said. She threw it away. I found it in the kitchen garbage, bent and soggy under coffee grounds. Mom rolled her eyes. You have to teach him not to attach to clutter, she said. We can't keep every little thing. Mark didn't cry. He just went very still, hands in his sleeves, watching me to see if I was going to make a fuss. I didn't. I pulled the robot out, wiped it off, and said, in this house, we don't throw away Mark's things without asking him. Mom huffed. You're so dramatic. I thought it was temporary. I thought it would get better if I just worked harder, swallowed more, contributed more. It wasn't temporary. It was training. So, when Dad announced they changed Grandpa's will, it wasn't a random bolt of lightning. It was the logical final episode of a series that had been running my whole life. Grandpa's lawyer, Mr. Adler, picked up on the 3rd ring. Zach, he said, haven't heard from you in a while. Yeah, I said. Sorry. Quick question. Did Grandpa ever change his will? Like after the one you showed him in your office, with me there? Pause. No, Adler said slowly. Why? I walked into the front hallway, away from the dining room. Mark patted after me in his socks, clutching his Captain America shield. Because my parents just told me they had it changed and the house is in their name, I said. Another pause. Longer. I handled your grandfather's estate, Adler said. The will on file leaves the house to you. Your parents are executors, not beneficiaries for that asset. If there was a codicil or a new will, it was not through me. My stomach twisted. So either they got a different lawyer, I said, or something is very, very wrong. Email me anything they show you, Adler said. And Zach, yeah, don't sign anything. Don't agree to anything. I'll pull the file and call you in the morning. I hung up, slipped my phone into my pocket, and walked back to the table like nothing had changed. But everything had. The next week was a masterclass in pressure. It started small, private. Mom cornered me at the sink while we were doing dishes. We know this is a lot, she said. But think about Sophia. She's been through 3 rounds already. Her eggs are old. Her doctor said, this is probably the last chance. You're a father. You understand. She said, eggs, in a whisper, like it was a swear word. I do understand, I said. That's why I want to see the paperwork on the house. She blinked. What paperwork? The will, the deed, whatever you changed. She smiled, that tight smile again. Don't be ridiculous. You're making this adversarial. We're just trying to help your sister have a family. Dad's version showed up as a voicemail at 11:30 p.m. Son, he said, using the word only when he needed something. I know you're upset, but this entitlement to the house, it's not healthy. You didn't pay for it. Your grandfather trusted us to make grown-up decisions. Don't punish your sister because life gave you a gift. Call me when you've cooled down. Sophia texted me at 2 a.m. Please don't fight them on this. We can't afford IVF without the sale. They said you'll get a share after closing anyway. Why is a building more important than my baby? I stared at my screen in the blue light of my bedroom, Mark snoring softly beside me. I typed and erased 3 different replies. Finally, I wrote, I'm not choosing a building over you. I'm choosing not to be robbed. I didn't hit send. I put the phone down and stared at the ceiling instead. The next escalation wasn't private. It was practical. On Wednesday, I got an email from some realtor I'd never heard of. Subject, great news about your listing. I opened it and felt my pulse spike. Hi, Zach. Attached are the preliminary photos and description for 114 Maple Street. Your parents are excited to move quickly on this. So please review and approve by Friday so we can go live Monday. There are photos of my bedroom, Mark's drawings on the wall on my desk. I hadn't approved anything. I forwarded the email to Adler with one line. I did not authorize this. 5 minutes later, he called. Zach, did you sign a transfer deed? He asked. No, I said. They told me it was changed. That's it. Give me a second, he said. I heard keyboard clacking through the speaker. Okay, I'm pulling the county records. More typing then. There's a quitclaim deed filed 6 months ago, he said. From your grandfather's name to your parents. Signature is interesting. My throat tightened. Interesting how? I'm not going to say fraud on a recorded line, Adler said, but I'm going to say we should meet and you should gather everything you have. Texts, emails, any conversations where they mentioned the estate. My brain shifted gears. Document. I started a new folder on my desktop. House evidence. I screenshotted the realtor email, saved Sophia's texts, pulled up old messages from Grandpa, where he complained about Dad trying to talk him into things. I dug out the blue folder from my closet where I'd kept a copy of the original. Grandpa had insisted I take a photo just in case. I scanned it, highlighted the line that said, I hereby bequeath my residence at 114 Maple Street to my grandson Zachary. That night, I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop open, papers spread out like storyboards. Dad walked in, saw the mess, and snorted. Going to war with your own family? He asked. I'm trying to understand what happened, I said. What happened? He said, pulling a beer from the fridge. As we stepped up, we took responsibility. You should be thanking us. For what? I asked. For rewriting Grandpa's wishes? For listing the house without telling me? For telling my 6-year-old he has to move because his aunt's uterus is more important than his bedroom? Watch your tone. Dad snapped. You're being cruel. I'm being accurate, I said. He pointed the bottle at me. We're not doing this. We're helping Sophia. That's final. I looked at him for a long second. Okay, I said quietly. Then show me the deed. He blinked. What? The deed Grandpa supposedly signed over to you, I said. Show me the paperwork, the updated will, anything. He took a long drink instead. You don't need to see it, he said. We talked to a lawyer. Which lawyer? I asked. Not Adler, he said quickly. He's old-fashioned. He didn't understand our situation. We went with someone more flexible. Flexible? My skin crawled. Sophia came and then holded her phone. Please, she said. Just stop. This isn't helping. The clinic needs the funds in 2 weeks. They have the embryos frozen. If we miss the window. I looked at her. She looked wrecked. Dark circles under her eyes. Hope and terror in the same expression. I'm not trying to ruin your chances, I told her. I'm trying to stop a crime. Her face crumpled. She turned on her heel and walked away. Dad shook his head at me like I was a disappointment on legs. That's it, he said. I'm done arguing. Same, I said. I closed my laptop. That was the moment, that tiny quiet moment where I chose to stop explaining myself to people who had already decided I was the villain. That's when I stopped arguing, I thought, and started documenting. The next morning, I sat in Adler's office with a stack of papers. He flipped through the copy of the quitclaim deed he'd pulled. This signature is not your grandfather's, he said. And even if it were, there are capacity questions. He was in and out of the hospital that month. There's also the small matter of your parents acting as both witnesses and beneficiaries. So what do? I asked. We file a petition to challenge the transfer, he said. We notify the realtor that the property is under dispute. And depending on how spicy you're feeling, we talk to the police about potential fraud. I thought about Mark's robot in the garbage. I thought about $6,000 for a wedding venue. I thought about my kid's bedroom in those listing photos. Let's get spicy, I said. The police didn't show up with sirens. They showed up with clipboards. It was the following Thursday, 3:17 p.m. according to the timestamp on the body cam footage I'd eventually see. I was in the living room exporting a cut, Mark on the floor building a Lego city that had more structural integrity than my family. The doorbell rang. Mom called. Can someone get that? I'm on the phone with the clinic. I went. 2 officers stood on the porch, one male, one female, both with that calm, neutral cop face. Zachary Miller, the taller one, asked. Yes, I said, heart pounding. He held out a paper. We're here regarding a report of possible deed and will fraud concerning this property. Are your parents home? Behind them, I saw Adler step out of his car, briefcase in hand. He nodded at me once. My chest loosened a little. They're inside, I said. I stepped back and opened the door wider. Mom was still in the kitchen, headset on, calendar open on the table. So, if we pay in full by, she said, then looked up and went pale. Oh, Dad walked in from the backyard, wiping his hands on a towel. What's going on? The female officer spoke. Sir, ma'am, we received a complaint from Mr. Adler regarding potential irregularities with the transfer of this property. We have some questions. Dad's jaw clenched. This is a family matter, he said. We don't need police involved. The officer didn't blink. Sir, altering a legal document without authorization is not just a family matter, she said. It's a crime. Sophia appeared in the doorway, eyes wide. Zach, she whispered. What did you do? I didn't answer her. Adler set his briefcase on the table, calm as ever. As I explained on the phone, he told my parents, the will on file leaves this house to Zach. He never consented to a transfer. The quitclaim deed was filed with a questionable signature and without proper witnesses. Until a judge resolves the dispute, the property is effectively frozen. You cannot sell it. Mom's practiced smile snapped on like a nightlight. This is ridiculous, she said. My father told us he wanted us to have control. He was confused at the end. He didn't know what he was signing. So you admit he wasn't fully competent when the deed was executed? Adler asked mildly. Her mouth opened and closed. Dad slammed his hand on the table. Enough, he barked. You're twisting. Everything. We didn't do anything wrong. We just corrected an oversight. Our son is ungrateful. He's been sponging off us for years. We're just trying to help our daughter start a family. The male officer flipped a page on his clipboard. Mr. Miller, he said, did you sign your father's name on this deed? Dad hesitated. Everyone in the room heard it. Of course not, he said finally, because the officer continued, we've already requested handwriting samples from your father's medical records and your financial documents. A forensic examiner will compare them. If it turns out you did, we'll be talking about forgery, which is a felony. The room went very still. Mark shuffled into the doorway, Lego minifig in his hand. He took one look at the badges in my face and went quiet in that way that made my throat burn. Hey, buddy, I said softly, go back to your room for a bit, okay? Put on your headphones. I'll be there soon. He nodded and disappeared without a word. Sophia started crying quietly. Please, she said to the officers. You don't understand. We just need the money. The clinic is not our concern, the female officer said. Our concern is whether a crime occurred. Nobody here is saying IVF is wrong. We're saying you don't get to steal a house to pay for it. The line hit like a slap. Mom's face crumpled around the edges. We are not thieves, she snapped. This is our family. We raised him. We changed his diapers. I stepped forward. I'm going to say this once, I said. My voice surprised me. It was steady. Until a judge says otherwise, this house is mine. You're not selling it. You are not signing anything with my name or Grandpa's name. You're not speaking for me to any realtor, bank, or clinic. If you keep trying, I will press charges. On record. Mom stared at me like she didn't recognize my face. You'd send your own parents to jail? She whispered. I thought about that for a second. I'd protect my kids' home and my grandfather's wishes, I said. If that intersects with your choices, that's on you. Dad lunged toward me like he was going to get in my face. The male officer stepped between us. Sir, he warned. Dad stopped breathing hard. This is insane, he muttered. We're the victims here. We did everything for you. The officer handed him a card. This is the case number for the investigation, he said. You'll get a call about an interview. In the meantime, you're advised not to attempt to sell or transfer any interest in this property. He turned to me. And you, he said, might want to talk to a civil attorney as well. This will take some time. Adler nodded. I'm on it. The officers left. Mom sank into a chair like her legs had given out. Sophia wiped her eyes, mascara streaking. I hope you're happy, she said. You've ruined everything. I looked at her, and for a second, I wanted to say I was sorry. Then I remembered the realtor's email and Mark's little bed in those photos, treated like staging furniture. I didn't ruin anything, I said. I just turned on the lights. Dad glared at me. You can't stay here, he said. Not after this. Get out of my house. My house. The words rang in my head. Funny, I said. That's exactly what a judge is about to decide. That night, after Adler left and the yelling had downgraded to cold silence, a locksmith's van pulled up to the curb. Mark watched from the living room window. Are we moving? He asked. No, I said. We're staying. I'm just making sure only the right people can get in. I stood on the porch while the locksmith changed the locks on the front and back doors, then signed the invoice in my name. Irreversible. When I turned around, Mom was in the hallway, arms folded. You're really doing this, she said. Yeah, I said. I am. She shook her head slowly, like I was dead to her. You'll regret it, she said. I thought of Grandpa's blue folder, of Mark's Lego City, of the sentence we had that changed, like my life was a draft they'd edited without telling me. No, I said I won't. 3 months later, the house was quiet in a way I'd never heard it. No Mom banging cabinets. No Dad's TV. Just my computer humming while Mark drew at the table. The investigation crawled. Handwriting, bank records, interviews. Turned out my parents had been borrowing from Grandpa's accounts for years. Transfers labeled repairs and medical extras. The forged deed was the last move. Adler called the day the state filed charges. They're offering a plea, he said. Probation, restitution, no jail if they undo the transfer and pay back the estate. Do I have a say? I asked. You can write a victim impact statement, he said. That's it. They took the deal. They didn't really apologize. Closest was a group text. This has gone far enough. We're willing to make things right if you tell them you don't want charges. Think of the family. I typed, I already thought of the family. For 33 years. Sophia went quiet for a while, then texted. Clinic says we could do a cheaper protocol if we wait. I got a second job. I'm glad you did that. If you ever want to talk w/out mom and dad script, I'm here. A week later, she sent a stupid cat picture. Not forgiveness, but a crack. The judge confirmed what should have been true from the start. The deed was void. The will stood. 114, Maple was legally mine. I framed that page and hung it where Grandpa's fishing photo used to be. One Saturday, Mom showed up with a Tupperware of lasagna. No call, I said, blocking the doorway. She looked at the framed order. So this is how it is now? This is how it is, I said. We could talk, she tried, without lawyers. Like a family. I appreciate the lasagna, I said. You can give it to Mark at the park sometime. Public place, short visit. You're really going to keep punishing us over paperwork? There it was. Paperwork, not forgery. I'm not punishing you, I said. I'm protecting myself and my son. Access to me is not a family right. It's something you lost when you decided I was a nuisance instead of son. You'll regret cutting us out when we're gone, she said. Maybe, I said, but I already regret what I let you do when you were here. She left the lasagna on the railing and walked away. That night, Mark ate it on the couch, fell asleep against me while the Iron Giant played. The quiet in the room wasn't tense or waiting for once. It was just quiet. Here's what I finally understood. Love doesn't require you to hand over your keys. Family doesn't mean unlimited access. I'm not available for being rewritten anymore. You can care about people and still lock the door.